I was looking at Psalm 119 today, and specifically the passage I'm going to look at this Sunday, and it deals with persecution. And we know as Christians, we're to expect persecution. But not only expect persecution, we should also respond in a certain way to those who persecute us. And the Apostle Paul actually told us how we can do so in Romans chapter 12. This is going to be a two-part devotional. This week, we're going to see more of the attitude that we are to have, and next week, we'll see more of the actions that we should do to those who persecute us. But here in Romans chapter 12, verse 14, we see that, first of all, we should pray positively for those who wronged us. That is, love those who persecute us rather than hate them. Because really, what is the natural, normal reaction we have to those who wrong us or to those who persecute us? And to be honest, the normal reaction is that we want to retaliate. We want to seek revenge against them. And so when people persecute us, that is our natural reaction. We want to speak up for our rights. We want to defend who we are. We want to defend our rights. But here we're commanded to bless them instead, to bless our persecutors, to literally to pray positively for them, beneficially for them. And not only pray positively for them, we're also to speak well of them as well, because when we're out in our community or when we're with our friends, we may want to actually speak evil against those who persecute us, who speak wrongly against us, but we're not supposed to do that. Rather, if we can find any good, we're to speak positively, not only to them, but about them as well, because that then changes our attitude to love our enemies and to bless those who persecute us. Now, how far should we take that then? Well, verse 15 in Romans chapter 12, we should be genuinely empathetic towards those who wronged us. Identify with their problems and joys. Now, I want to take verses 15 and 16 out of context, because as we also look at verses 17 through 21 next week, the context is to bless those who persecute us, not retaliating against those who wrong us. So with those who are rejoicing and with those who are weeping, not just those in the church, not just those in our family, we're not just to rejoice with those who rejoice, who are close to us, and weep with those who are close to us. We're to rejoice with those who are our persecutors. We're to weep with those who are our persecutors. And why is that? Because it develops an empathy for what they are going through. It helps us to actually bless them and to pray positively for them. You see, this flows from, again, blessing them. And as we bless them, we'll have this desire of empathy and to serve them instead. Now, what do you think is going to be the reaction, though, for those whom we bless instead of curse if they are persecuting us? You may think, well, right away, yeah, they're just going to love us and treat us well. But more than likely, they're not going to respond positively towards it. They may actually respond negatively towards it. Actually, the persecution may increase. They may lash out against you. That'd be a natural defense. But my encouragement to you is to keep on blessing them. Keep up the empathy, even if they don't change. For one, that's a godly thing to do. That's what God wants us to do. And two, it is healthy for you to do so. Well, what kind of attitude do you have to have in order to bless and have empathy towards those who persecute you? Well, lastly here in verse 16, we should have a humble attitude towards those who wronged us. Humility develops receptivity to reconciliation. If we have a prideful attitude, that'll repel them against us. So what we see here is an attitude of developing association with those who persecute us, perhaps even trying to understand their side of those who are opposed to us. Now, this does not mean that we back away from the truth, that we're not standing for the truth, for biblical morals, for justice. That's not the point here. God has called us, though, to live in unity and in harmony as much as possible with those who persecute us, even to those who oppose us and wrong us. And how can we develop that type of thinking? Well, Paul describes that here. He says, don't be haughty, but associate with the lowly. And that word thinking is literally to be overzealous ambition with regard to someone else. And so what he's saying here is be swept away. That is, be carried away like a flood with those who are considered low in our society. Develop sympathy with those whom everyone else disregards. Why is that? What happens to us when we do so? Well, as I try to not think so high about myself, and I start thinking about those who are low in other people's eyes, I then develop more of an attitude of humility, which fosters harmony even with those who persecute me. As my point says here, pride repels, but humility develops receptivity towards reconciliation, even with those who persecute us and wrong us. So people are not wanting to hear the gospel from those who are prideful and care nothing about them. But as we develop empathy, even with those who wrong us, even with those who persecute us, as we do so, we then have more of an open opportunity to witness to them and to lead them to saving faith in Jesus Christ. So let me encourage you with this. Remember what Jesus said. Love your enemies. Bless those who persecute us. May you find encouragement with that this week as you seek to pray and to love and to give the gospel even to those who are opposed to the truth. Thank you for joining me.